Coming up on this edition of Viral, man, a St. Louis couple decides to defend their their bare arms, but what price? For the Black Lives Matter movement was trying to look for the home of the St. Louis mayor, and they caught themselves into a crossfire with that couple who wanted to have their right to bear arms by any means necessary. We'll have this as the new Viral starts right now. Hello everyone, welcome to this edition of Viral. I'm your host as always, Kendrick Dix here. Join in the conversation using the hashtag Viral here on Connect. And thank you all for watching as we talk about the St. Louis couple that who could be the new Bonnie and Clyde in 2020 decide to use their guns to intimidate and threaten the Black Lives Matter crew by this white couple who wanted to shoot them by any means necessary to defend their property. Let's see how this all got started with this. As you saw right there, that St. Louis couple had caught wind and got gone viral for their approach. Well, it didn't look right and didn't look good for them, and it made them get bad press even more. And even more best, they had to defend themselves to justify their land and property, but the Black Lives Matter campaign wanted to go over to that St. Louis mayor's house and try to resolve an issue about some ordinance that she had done. Well, the husband, Mark Mikowski, had went on television in a local St. Louis affiliate to talk about and explain why he did what he did. Him and his wife. Take a look.
For the Central West End. This video right now on your screen getting national attention. You see the man and his wife there in the striped shirt out in their yard with weapons as protesters marched by their home, headed to the home of St. Louis Mayor Lyda Krewson to protest. Mark McCloskey says the protesters smashed through gates on their street, and this is all private property. He also says that he and his family were threatened. Now, we did check the area this morning. You can see the wrought iron gate is now gone. There is a chain link gate up with a pink ribbon on it.
As soon as I said the words private property, it enraged the crowd. There was then a horde of people coming through the broken gate. I mean, the gate was broken in pieces. I've sent you the photographs of it. And there were, I don't know how many people, there was a tremendous number of people, all angry, all shouting, all coming towards us.
We will have much more on this story for you coming up this afternoon, starting on News 4 at 4 o'clock.
St. Louis couple called Mark and Patricia McCloskey became folk heroes to many across the country after they were confronted by a mob, a dangerous mob outside their home, and returned with firearms to protect
Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson, who had re-signed to reportedly $750,000 a year deal.
This is what you were taught to do. It's what generations of Americans have done. It's the most basic right of all, the right of self-defense. The McCloskeys exercised that right, and now they're coming close to being destroyed. They stood up for themselves against the mob. The McCloskeys' fate remains in the hands of the mob in the form of the St. Louis Circuit Attorney General Kimberly Gardner. Gardner is a radical prosecutor, one of many elected in recent years, with financial backing from billionaire George Soros. In 2019, Gardner brought criminal charges in just 23% of the cases the St. Louis police brought her. Her policies have helped destroy that office, the St. Louis Circuit Attorney's Office. Since she took over, the prosecutor turnover there has surpassed 100%. Gardner's reaction to any criticism about this never changes. Allege a racial conspiracy against her, and then move on. At the start of this year, Gardner sued the local police union and several city officials, accusing them of, quote, a racially motivated conspiracy to deny the civil rights of minorities. She charged them under the Ku Klux Klan Act. As if. After riots ripped through countless American cities, Gardner was clear about who she supported in it all.
I've noticed that the Attorney General is tweeting quite a bit about looters and rioters, and not about the fact that we have a history of police violence in the city and nation, and that has caused people to take to the streets yet again to demand for accountability and change in our criminal justice system.
How dare you be angry about looting and crimes when the police are still out there enforcing the law? After the McCloskeys defended themselves, Gardner finally found a crime she cares about. She promised to have them punished if she could.
I am disturbed by the events that occurred over this weekend, where there were peaceful protesters who were met with guns and a violent assault. We must protect the rights to peacefully protest, and any attempts to chill it through intimidation or use of force will not be tolerated. Since learning of these events over this weekend, I've worked with the public and the police to investigate these tragic events. I will use every extent of Missouri law to hold individuals accountable.
Mark McCloskey joins us tonight along with his attorney, Albert Watkins. Mr. McCloskey, first to you, thanks so much for coming on, and I'm glad you're on because you will tell your own story rather than having it told for you by ideologues. Describe for us, if you would, why you believed you and your wife were threatened by these 300 people in your yard.
Well, Tucker, you got to understand, my house sits right on the edge of a road called Kings Highway, and our private place is Portland Place, where my wife and I were preparing to have dinner, maybe 70 feet from the gate. By the time we looked up, we saw the marchers coming down Kings Highway and getting loud. We looked over at the gate, and there's no police there. Our private security wasn't there. Nobody's there. And I look over at my wife, and I see all these people outside the gate. And then the gate bursts open. People start coming in. And then a flood of people start coming in. They're angry. They're screaming. They've got spittle coming out of their mouth. They're coming towards the house. And, you know, on June the 2nd of this year, their protests in downtown St. Louis went violent instantly. People, the looting and violence and rioting. I watched on live TV the 7-Eleven in downtown St. Louis from the moment the first window was broken throughout the looting process till the fire was started and then till the fire fully engaged the building, and nobody came that entire time. I looked over at my wife and I said, oh my God, we're absolutely alone. There's nobody here to protect us but us. That was the same night retired police captain David Doran was murdered. When I saw that mob come through the gate with their rage and their anger, I thought that we would be overrun in a second. By the time I was out there with my rifle, the people were 20 or 30 feet from my front wall. I've got a low wall that separates the house from my front yard. And so I was literally afraid that within seconds they would surmount the wall, come into the house, kill us, burn the house down, and everything that I'd worked for and struggled for the last 32 years. Tucker, I lived out in West St. Louis County in a nice, secure neighborhood. 32 years ago, we moved into the city and took on a project to restore a house that nobody else wanted. And, you know, we were urban pioneers in those days, and we've been there ever since, working to build and maintain St. Louis in this very historic neighborhood. And I saw it all going up in flames and my life destroyed in an instant. And I did what I thought I had to do to protect my hearth, my home, and my family.
Well, no one was protecting you, and they were screaming at you and threatening to murder your dog and harm you and your wife. What do you make of the attacks on you for doing what we used to believe every homeowner had an obligation to do? Why are they denouncing you as a racist?
I don't understand it. Here's the interesting thing. I've spent my career defending people that are defenseless, for people that are having a hard time making their miracle happen, for people that don't have a voice. My black clients love us. The night that this happened, I had some of our black clients calling us up till 2:30 in the morning, telling us how wrong it was, the way the press was writing us up, telling how wrong it was that we should be portrayed as racist. This is what I do for a living. I help people that are down and that need a hand and people that need a voice. To call us racist is ridiculous, and it had nothing to do with race. I wasn't worried what the race was of the mob that came through my gate. I was worried that I was going to be killed. I didn't care what race they were.
It's disgusting. Very quickly, Mr. Watkins, do you think that the McCloskeys face the risk of being prosecuted in that?
Well, given the fact that we have a political animal in the circuit attorney's office, there is a risk. If the law prevails, long-standing Missouri law prevails, they're fine.
Yeah. Boy, we're certainly rooting for you. This is really a revealing moment and a travesty. I'm glad you're well. Thank you for coming on tonight. Mark McCloskey, Albert Watkins. Thank you.
Hold up. Was that mine?
Mark McCasley trying to rectify the situation that he said. But when you come out like that, it doesn't mean that you're trying to do what you do, because you got people that's trying to march and you got guns, and it's like it's a bad PR, bad press for them, and they don't realize that things could go awry in an instant. And you have to know what's going on in the world with the George Floyd situation, the Ahmaud Arbery situation, and many others being black men unarmed and being targeted due to their race and them dying unjustified. Now things got even worse. But let's hear what you people had to say about this whole scandal with the St. Louis couple trying to defend their arms against the Black Lives Movement in St. Louis. Take a look.
Strike. Allegra is different than Zyrtec. While Zyrtec may cause drowsiness, Allegra is the fastest non-drowsy. Well, some of the protesters who marched through the Central West End were met by a pair of armed homeowners. Photos taken by our partners at the Post-Dispatch show a man and woman standing in front of their home. This was on Portland Place, holding a pistol and a rifle. At one point, one of the homeowners pointed her handgun at protesters. No shots were fired.
Going down, y'all. It's your boy, Black Pegasus, and I finally saw the other footage, the other angles of the protesters going on to these people's private property. I thought it was interesting because today all day I was getting these news articles, so I did a post about it, but the only I could find was of them walking in front of these people's homes, and it looked like they were just walking down the street and these people just came outside with their guns. But in reality, from the other angle, you can actually see how they went in through the fence and actually went onto these people's property deliberately to protest. So, actually, I'm just going to show it so you guys can see it right here. Check it out. I'll just post it right here. So you guys can watch it.
She said she was trying to get calls. And I'm like, You know what I'm saying? Like, how the fuck she found me on Facebook like that?
Y'all see you got a gun.
She was saying, y'all can see. She wanted to hear from me or something like that.
Y'all see on my live feed live, he got his rifle. Y'all can see. He does have a weapon. Y'all can see.
She don't like them.
So you guys get the picture from that angle. You can see the protesters actually physically going onto these people's property. And then you guys can check out this other angle. This is the angle that the the news has been posting all day. This was the only footage I can find all day. So I thought it was interesting. This was the only angle they showed. So check it out right here.
She was strong, talking about that name and just popped up.
So you get the picture. So I just wanted to address this first and foremost because I made my post earlier today, and after doing all the research, I only had that second set of footage. So I was like, wow. First of all, I was very neutral. You know, I said peaceful protesters, right? But when I see that, and people keep saying they broke into the gate, I still haven't seen footage where they actually broke the gate. However, when you decide to deliberately go onto someone's property, private property, as we saw from the first footage, that turns it to something else. Now, I don't know do any of you guys know the backstory on this? From what I understood, some of the protesting in St. Louis was going on because the mayor of St. Louis was putting out publicly full names and addresses of people who were demanding police reform. And so that sparked something that I know these people were attorneys or they're lawyers. And I was wondering if they were deliberately protesting on their property. Regardless, it's private property. And when you decide to go onto someone's private property, you decide to, it's trespassing, right? So even though I believe, I'm cool with the protesting. Like I'll tell people, we've gone to a place in this country where people have to get out and protest and say enough is enough. Law enforcement needs some type of reform. Am I one of the people talking about defund the police, dismantle the police, doing all this other stuff? No. It seems like in this day and age, people right now, it seems like people don't believe in America. They don't believe in capitalism, and they want to burn the whole system down and replace the system. I don't agree with that. I don't think that's necessarily the answer. And first, you got to show me a system that will work way better than this system, because at this point, our system has flaws. But I do believe we can do reform, we can work on change, evolving things. But until you show me a system that's better than this, I'm not, excited to be like, yeah, let's go through a civil war. Like anyone with children and anyone who understands what war really is knows that most people are not ready for an actual war in our country. They're not ready for what they think they're ready for. Some might be. But anyways, I thought it was crazy on another note, right? This house is a mansion, right? It's like a castle. What I'm thinking to myself is, why are these people protecting their castle themselves? Did you see the pictures of the inside of this house? This place is amazing. There's no reason they shouldn't be able to afford some type of elite security and CIA, Secret Service agents. So I thought that was pretty crazy too. But it's all craziness. Like I don't know why the protesters would go on their property specifically. So I'm waiting for all this to come out. So I don't want to speculate, but I just wanted to show this other angle because I posted a video today, and I felt like if I didn't post this other angle, it could be misleading. And I think you need to see both angles to be able to make your own choice on the right or wrong of this situation. Could those people have been a little more laid back? I guess, right? But when you literally go onto their property, it just becomes something else. That's just what it is. I remember someone tried to break into my garage this winter, and I had to go outside with the Glock and be ready to clap someone. You know what I'm saying? They ran off before I got outside. But I'm sitting in my living room watching a podcast. I hear my garage door start to open, and I don't know how it got hacked or whatever. What the hell was going on? If they had stolen a garage door key, I don't know. But anyways, my garage door starts opening. I go get the gap. I'm looking out the window, but I have to. You know what I'm saying? Got to do what you got to do, right? I have a wife, a daughter. Different scenario, right? Different scenario. But when people are on your property, invading what I would say is your space, it just becomes something different, especially when it's private property. I'm not going to get into I don't know why these people decided to protest on these people's property. I don't know if it was deliberate. I don't know if they were just causing trouble, if they just wanted to go through the whole neighborhood. I don't know. I'm just going to say, from the footage I saw, from both sets of footage, now I can be decisive and know these people made a choice to go onto private property and protest. And I don't know if there was a reason to protest these lawyers specifically or what that reasoning was. When they went on that private property, they made a decision to get into a different type of situation, which they ended up doing because these people were brandishing what I think are AR-15s and some type of handgun. And, they definitely didn't have any training with their weapons, because when you're just, having your finger on the trigger, if you got one in the chamber, you're wilding. Like, you're supposed to be ready to shoot. You know what I'm saying? And I don't know, man. This whole thing's been going crazy. Like I said, I'm for social justice. I'm for the protests. I think the people's voice needs to be heard. But like I've said on other videos, I'm not with all the looting. I know some people. Well, these people looted all these countries and they did. But in my opinion, we don't have to stoop to other people's level to battle them. You know what I'm saying? Social justice and equality is needed in this country, but I personally don't think robbing a Target, burning down certain things is going to help the situation. I think Minnesota made a great statement with what happened when they burned down the precinct. I'm not opposed to that. I'm like, look, those motherfuckers fucked up, and they got what they deserved in that sense, right? In that display of, hey, this is a symbol of when you don't take accountability for your actions, right? And we're not going to get into the background of George Floyd and all the people trying to demonize his past. At the end of the day, they just want justice for the people who killed people that weren't supposed to be killed in those situations. That's all that's. But yeah, man, things are getting out of hand. Obvious, people don't have jobs. They're on unemployment, this, that, and the other. There's no sports. So everything's being escalated to the nth degree. Anyways, tap in with me. Let me know what you think in the comments of all this craziness. And let me know what you think was warranted or wasn't warranted. I've been getting an outcry of comments saying, yo, these people, man, they're lucky it wasn't me. I would have shot these people for being on my property. So you can see just within the comments that the outrage of the protests is starting to reach other people. Also, there's this black on white narrative where it's just like this race war within our country right now. And it's really odd, because I went to the grocery store with my wife and daughter today. And I'm walking around like, man, are people looking at black people funny? Are black people looking at white people funny? Like, man, it's just crazy. And that's not even in my nature. Like, it's not. I'm not. I'm a pretty neutral person. I think we could use reason, logic, reform somewhat of our system. Our system is pretty fucking broken. I'm not gonna lie. It is. It's our system's for hire. It's all the politicians have been bought out. This is why you see almost nobody trusts our system, really. And if you do, you're a fucking fool. But at the same time, I haven't seen anyone display a system that's better. I don't know, man. Shit's crazy. Let me know what you think in the comments of all this shenanigans going on. And yeah, man, we'll keep things moving. Much love, light and beyond. It's your boy, Black Pegasus, KG. So definitely.
the Central West End. This video right now on your screen getting national attention. You see the man and his wife there in the striped shirt out in their yard with weapons as protesters marched by their home, headed to the home of St. Louis Mayor Lyda Krewson to protest. Mark McCloskey says the protesters smashed through gates on their street, and this is all private property. He also says that he and his family were threatened. Now, we did check the area this morning. You can see the wrought iron gate is now gone. There is a chain link gate up with a pink ribbon on it.
As soon as I said the words private property, it enraged the crowd. There was then a horde of people coming through the broken gate. I mean, the gate was broken in pieces. I've sent you the photographs of it. And there were, I don't know how many people, there was a tremendous number of people, all angry, all shouting, all coming towards us.
We will have much more on this story for you coming up this afternoon, starting on News 4 at 4 o'clock.
Hey there, friends. Thanks for checking in. It's no secret, nor is it anything new, that the media and many politicians are extremely biased. However, in America, when people who are patriotic, who love the Constitution, are considered dangerous, violent, and hateful, when you also have people who are protesting, who are throwing bricks at windows, destroying property, looting, beating people up who disagree with them, are considered peaceful protesters. Now, I have no problem with somebody peacefully protesting. That is very American to do that. But as soon as you create violence, it's no longer peaceful. As soon as you kick down a gate and storm into area that is designated private property, it's no longer peaceful. As soon as you throw a brick or beat somebody up, it's no longer peaceful. And that is what is happening. You have these politicians who are saying, well, these are peaceful protesters. No, they're not. They're violent protesters, and they should be arrested. In the midst of defunding the police, they should be arrested. And I think things have gotten so far backward that many people are having trouble seeing the truth. And it's actually a sad day in America. However, in St. Louis, just a couple days ago, hundreds of people decided to kick down a gate in a very high-end neighborhood, and they wanted to go protest the mayor of St. Louis. Lyda Krewson, I believe her name is, and she lives in that neighborhood, and they kicked down this wrought iron gate that was a very expensive gate, and they just stormed that area. Now, there was this couple there who had this beautiful house in the area. I mean, it was so big it made the White House look like a shed, and they felt intimidated. They felt intimidated because hundreds of people entered their area shouting insults, shouting threats. They already kicked down the gate, which means they're not peaceful, and they decided to protect themselves and their property with firearms. Now, they went out there and started shouting back, get out of here, get out of here. Imagine how fearful you would be if one day you were just standing out front and hundreds of people threatened you and threw insults at you. They didn't even know these people, and yet this was happening because they lived in this neighborhood. I don't care if you live in a mansion, if you live in a one-bedroom apartment, your home is yours. It was sacrificed for it. It was a lot of commitment went into that. A lot of hard work went into that, and nobody has the right to destroy it. So these people had their firearms. The gentleman had a rifle. The female had a handgun, and they were out there, and they were telling them, get out of here, get back off, get off my lawn, and so forth. And eventually that strategy worked because it was the gun. Had they not had those firearms, they were so outnumbered it wasn't even close. It could have turned in very bad and even uglier than it was to begin with. So here we have a case where the firearm was an equalizer, and they actually created that group to leave their area. We have the county prosecutor saying that she had a problem with them intimidating peaceful protesters with the use of firearms. Once again, we have gone so far backward where you negate the fact that they kicked down the gate, you negate the fact that they were insulting and launching threats at these people, you negate the fact that they were trespassing in a major way, and yet she's saying they were using their guns as intimidation. I think intimidation went the other way, and it's a pretty poor representation of government when they twist everything up and they make the violent people into heroes and they make patriotic people into criminals and hateful and horrible people. I think these people did the right thing. They protected themselves and their property. They said they were fearful for their lives, which is the number one reason to use a firearm to begin with. Now, the lady was pointing the gun, pointing it at the people. You know, looking back, it would have been better if she didn't do that. But, you know, the fear factor kicks in, and it's a very intimidating thing. I can only imagine if hundreds of people entered your property threatening and you know, willing to destroy what you have worked so hard to achieve. I will restate what has been stated so many times. When the government tells you you don't need a gun, you need a gun. If you like videos like this, please subscribe and share. I always appreciate the thumbs up button. Thanks for watching, and you guys be safe. Alright, y'all see he got a gun. Y'all can see. Y'all see on my live feed live, he got his rifle. Y'all can see. He does have a weapon. Y'all can see. He's in the video. He does have a rifle. Y'all screenshot this.
Everybody's talking about the St. Louis couple. Yeah. Hey, y'all do realize St. Louis in itself is like one of the most dangerous cities in the United States? But this seems like a nice area. Yeah. Where they at? What happened was these protesters, Black Lives Matter, defund police, they was out doing some protest. That's not protesting. That looked like an angry mob to me. Well, it's not protesting once you go on somebody's private property. Yeah. You broke through that fence. Yeah. And this couple, this St. Louis couple, comes out of the house holding weapons because I'm sure they look at the news just like everybody else do, and y'all keep calling these people peaceful protesters. 15 people has been murdered since these protests have started. I've seen businesses burned down. Yeah, I've seen people being attacked for simply just being white. I saw a white homeless man get attacked. I saw a man praying on his knees get attacked. Yes. For no reason at all other than because he was white. Yeah, so if you're on public streets, that's fine. Yeah. But you breaking through people's fences, there's signs saying private property do not enter. Yeah. You're trespassing, you do it, and you beating drums. I would take that to be a bit aggressive. Right? And these people's house, I don't even know why people call this their house. This is a museum. This looks like a damn... This is bigger than a castle. This is bigger than the African American Museum in Washington, D.C. You people are living in. It's a mansion. It's worth, I'm sure, in the millions, and they've been in that mansion for decades, and they've totally renovated. Yeah. Think about how much money went into that. Yeah. Time, money. They have put it in that home, restoring it, right? Okay, now think at it at this place as your place, and all the money and time you put into it, and you see these people come onto your private property and break in on your property, break the gate. Yeah, and you seen the news, you see what these peaceful protesters have been doing. Wouldn't you get a firearm? Wouldn't you get at least a damn slingshot? A bow and arrow? A rock? I would grab something. Yeah, they came out protecting our property. Yeah. If they really wanted to hurt someone, they could have baited y'all. Yeah, they could have just been off in the window like a sniper or in the bushes just waiting for you to do something stupid. No, they came out, made themselves known, showed y'all they ain't playing. Yeah, don't play with me. That's a very interesting point you made. If they really wanted to hurt you, they could have just baited you guys. They could have just simply came outside holding an All Lives Matter sign. Say, hey, All Lives Matter. All Lives Matter. Yeah. And just baited y'all until y'all came to the house and say, shoot him, Betsy. It's coming right for us. If he really wanted to hurt you. But that's not what their intention was. They was just letting y'all know they ain't playing. And to the person who's telling these people to calm down. They was telling the couple to calm down, right? How you gonna tell the couple to calm down? That's their property. Shouldn't it be the other way around? Shouldn't they be telling you to calm down? Yeah. Shouldn't they be telling you to get off their property? What right do you have to tell them to calm down when you just broke through that fence? Broke on their property, and you make the rules? The one guy was screaming, this is public property. We're on the sidewalk. No, you're on private property. Just because it's a sidewalk doesn't mean it's public. You just don't know how to read. If you know how to read, you would know private property. Yeah. Just because you see a sidewalk doesn't make it different. Yeah, I want to say this one thing. They wasn't intending on they wasn't going to the St. Louis couple's house. Yeah. That mansion, that damn museum, that national treasure, right? They was going to the mayor's house. I want to see what the mayor's house is like. I mean, how do you afford that on the mayor's salary? Maybe it was a rich person. You know what? I got all this money, I got all this time on my hands. I'm gonna become damn mayor. You know, a lot of these politicians, man, they got more than one stream of revenue. They start